So, yeah, the answer to your question is it's all a question of the ear. My son Sean, who's at the Bristol Old Big Theatre School, he's got a very good ear as well.
You know you got expelled a bit from what you were saying, but were you sort of a pranker with the teachers, or did you listen obey them a lot? Or?
Oh, did I obey teachers or not? Yes, I did. Not when I was asked to be a wind. I didn't obey that, but in the main, yes. I used to love rebels. There was a teacher in one of my early schools, and his name was Hubert Wiley, and he was a very irascible man, and everybody was terrified of him. And he used to start, he'd leave off, he'd say, that boy there, and he'd give him a terrible way, and I'd go into hysterics, laughing. And he'd say, right, class dismissed, and he then said, you, stay behind. And he said, why are you always laughing at me? And I said, well, naturally, because you're extremely funny. He said, I'm not supposed to be funny. I said, yes, you are. You know quite well you're supposed to be funny. You're trying to make people laugh, really. He said, everybody else is frightened of me. I said, I know, but I'm not frightened of you at all. I said, well, I think you're very funny. He said, oh, well, that's going to be difficult, isn't it? So we became tremendous friends for years after that, and I loved him. And I'll give you another example. There was a fellow who taught me field training in the lower deck of the Navy. His name was Chief Petty Officer Branch. He would frighten God. He was a most terrifying man. And he was there to crack people into the officer candidates. And he used to say, "Well, come on, Alex. Let's see me having out. My God, who are you?" And I'd be standing there like that. And he'd say, he'd go behind me and he'd say, "Am I hurting you, Pee-wee?" And I'd say, "No, Chief." And he'd say, "Paddy, I'm standing on your hair." And I'd say, well, no, I'm not. Stop laughing! He said, "You standing there, you look like a bleeding dahlia standing there." Anyway, he used to get me really interested as a distiller, where everybody else was white-faced and young officer candidates were passing out of fear. And one day he said, "Right, now then, we're going to practice marching. Well, you take this drop down there at the end of the plane, right? When I say tell them about that. So I said, right, one, right there, quick, fast, and off they went. And when they got about 150 yards, I said, "Squad!" Then I pulled it, I'll tell you when. I said, "Well, I don't know, we're going too fast." He said, "I'll tell you when." So he went, "I'm going farther and further away." He said, I said, "Squad!" He said, "Wait for it, I'll tell you when." And when they were about this big, he said, "What? Tell them about now." So I let with and strained every, gluteus muscle. And I said, "About time!" Well, the fellows at the front didn't hear it at all. They went on walking. The fellows at the back heard it and turned about and came this way. The ones in the middle thought I said, "Right turn," and turned right. So they all went away from each other. And he said, no, gather them together, son, gather them together. So I gathered them all together with an enormous shriek. And about time! Well, they all heard it. And they all turned about. And they all went, and he said, "Right, now I know what they say when they say Marines will advance in columns of fours and macros and bleeding great heaps." And I've always found them funny people, and I didn't. I like teachers. I thought there was a lot. They put up with an awful lot of problems and troubles, and I think they're a great bunch of people. Yes, at the back there.
You did do carry-on films, didn't you?
Carry-on films, yes. There's a story about carry-on films. Peter Rogers is the producer. Peter Rogers and I are great mates, and we've been friends for many years before he became a film producer, even an actor. And he had an actor in this thing called Kenneth Williams. And Kenneth Williams, you all know. And Kenneth Williams is an evil, wicked man. And he's up to every type of practical joke, and he's absolutely evil, and he was running everybody absolutely ragged. And Peter said, "I know you, and I know your reputation. I think it's going to be a practical joke. If I give you a small role, because you're not going to be chances before being carry-on. I didn't want to be in them, because once you're in the carry-on, you never left them, and you never could do anything else. Nobody would believe you when you work. Doing serious movies, you only did the sort of carry-on type of movie, and I didn't want that to happen. And so I said, "Yeah, all right, I'm coming, I'll do one small, tiny role." And the first one I did was a thing called Carry On Cleo. We've seen it. Well, I didn't want anybody to recognise me, so I had a wig made that went completely over my face like a Yorkshire Terrier. And you can't see, all you can see is my nose sticking through. My name is Dorothy. She said, oh, it was some awful old soothsayer or something like that. And then I did another one, but he'd asked me to do another one, and the next one was a lovely part. It was very short, and I said, yes, I'd love to do that, because I always wanted to be in a Western. And so I did a thing called Carry On Cowboy. And when I read the script, I said, oh God, that's the most boring part I've ever read. It was the sheriff and nothing to it. So I said, can I rewrite it? And Peter said, yeah, you can do what you like with it. So I turned it into the sheriff was blind. He wore thick feather glasses. He was completely deaf and he had an ear trumpet. And he didn't know which way he was going. When he got on his horse, he got on it backwards. Did you ever see it? Yeah. Oh, okay. And anyway, and we had a very funny death scene, and it was, the part was right at the beginning of the picture, then it lasted 3 or 4 minutes, and it was a joy. I liked playing that. And Peter said, hey, well, you see, you do enjoy it. I said, yeah, I know, but I don't want any more. But I did 2 more over the years. But he couldn't get people somebody to do them, and so he said, come on, can I do this one? It's only a couple of days, and I did one, was Carry On Screaming, I think it's called, I think I played that in Scots, but that was a real bad, he was a real thought. Oh, no, we were making a fun or something, I forgot what it was he was doing. I don't know what the other one was, what's the other one? There were 4, I can't remember. Which one?
I can't remember the name, but you were lavatory cleaner?
No, that was Carry On Screaming. That was Carry On Screaming, yeah. That was, but I can't remember what the third one was. Yeah, anybody over here?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we've answered your question, darling. Yes, you.
I'm not finished talking to
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
I want to go to England tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, you go now. There is something, go on.
Which do you prefer?
Stand up.
Which do you prefer to do, TV or radio?
Well, we've answered that question just now, if you remember. Oh, well, I suppose you mean specifically TV or radio. No. I much prefer to do television to radio now. Yeah. Security! She's marvellous. She's a marvel girl. Well done to her. She's like lightning. She must have been a karate expert or something. So that answers your question, I think. Yeah, small boy there.
Have you ever played a role or a skit for the Queen?
Have I ever played anything for the Queen? Yes. It sounds very populistic to say, but the royal family are intimates. By that I mean that I know them extremely well because Her Majesty and her sister, Princess Margaret, used to come to see my radio shows as little girls when they used to, on holidays, and they used to come and watch our show called Waterlong Spa. It was their favourite show, as you probably have heard. Princess Margaret is a great impressionist, and she loves to impersonate, and Peter Sellers was a great friend of hers, a mutual friend, and she used to impersonate and practice impersonations with him. And the late King George came to quite a few shows with his family, and we got to know each other very well. Since I also know the Duke because I was in the Navy with him, and I'll tell you a funny story about that. I went to a party once, and I was playing at this party, playing guitar and singing a song called Frankie and Johnny, and there was this young lieutenant, this Greek lieutenant, that I knew faintly. We met quite often in the R&R club, and he was there with a girl that I'd introduced him to. And he started singing the words with me without the song I was singing, Frankie and Johnny. And I said, if you interrupt me once again, I'll kick your ass all around the room. And so he said, you just try, you see. And so I went, Frankie and Johnny, and he joined in. And I went, that's it. And I got up and I was going kicking around the room. And somebody called Frances Day, who was a famous actress, grabbed me and said, darling, don't do that. And I said, why not? And I know it. And she said, if you do, you're about to kick the royal ass. I said, what are you talking about? He said, he's engaged to marry Queen Princess Elizabeth. And he was, and that was the Duke of Edinburgh. And on one occasion, he said to me once at dinner, he's a water rat like I am, he's a member of the Grand Order of Water Rats. And he once said to me, he said, oh yes. He said, I don't think I ever punished you for lèse majesté, did I? And so I said, what do you mean, sir? And he said, you kicked my backside once all around the room. He said, I think I'll have you put in irons in the tower.
John, as an actor, who is your favorite actor besides yourself?
My favorite actor is a gentleman I talked about yesterday who was, in fact, I was honored to be a member of his family, or he was a member of mine, to be married my cousin, and that's Laurence Olivier. Laurence Olivier is the greatest actor, living actor in the world today, bar none, in my opinion, if you really ask me my opinion. John Gielgud, Sir John, I think, was the greatest of the Shakespearean actors, and now developing into the most wonderful character actor he's never had a movie. But Larry Olivier, yeah, I think, is the most superb actor, because he is what I term an actor called an actor, because he's never the same twice. He will always have a different nose, he'll always have a different accent. If he's playing a German, his German is absolutely impeccable. He'll probably learn to speak it. If he's playing a Dutch, the head of the Marquis in a film, he will learn to speak Dutch. He will look like a Dutchman, he will move like a Dutchman. He's unbelievable. And I'll give you an example of why I say he's the greatest actor in the world, and this is a marvelous story. He hates people touching him. He doesn't mind if I'm sitting in public and I say, Larry, and I do this, he doesn't mind that. But if anybody comes up from the back and touches him, he goes raving mad. And he was at a party once, and he doesn't go to parties very often. And we were all at this party, it was a theatre party in a company we were in, and we were invited by one of the members of the company with all his family to have supper. And an old lady went up to him, and he was sitting on a sofa minding his own business, and she slapped her hands over his eyes like that, and she went, "Guess who?" And he went, "Oh!" like this, and he stood up very quickly, and the poor old lady went over backwards, AOT, over the back of the sofa. And there she was on the sofa with her legs in the air. And Larry didn't pay any attention at all, and he rushed straight up to his host, and he said, "Who is that old woman?" And he said, "Oh, that's my mother-in-law." He said, "Isn't she marvelous?" That proves to me that's the greatest actor in the world.
Any questions?
Yes, and somebody who hasn't asked a question before. Yes.
Did you ever think of becoming anything else other than an actor?
Yes, it's a good question. When I was starving, all actors go through very bad times when they're out of work and they don't know where the next job's coming from, and I was very poor and I hadn't any money at all, and I was determined to make a go of it myself. My father was very famous, but I wasn't going to get in the business on his back. Anyway, he was scared of nepotism and he wouldn't be a party to it. And so I used to sleep in the crypt at St. Martin's in the Fields. Anybody know what that is? There's St. Martin's in the Fields in Trafalgar Square, the big church there. And there's a crypt down below there, which has always been a place where actors meet. Because all the deans of St. Martin's in the Fields have always been very pro towards the arts, and they've always looked after actors, and they help them when they can when they're in trouble and so on. And the Actors' Church Union padres usually come from St. Martin's in the Fields. And we used to sleep there sometimes, and used to eat at the Salvation Army places, and I was looked after, and at least I knew that I had somewhere I could go. And at that time, I thought, I don't know, maybe I'm in a silly profession, perhaps I shouldn't be in this. And so the extraordinary thing is, I chose the most weird thing. I've always been fascinated in criminology, and I still am. And I think that if I hadn't been an actor, I'd like to have been in criminology. I'd like to have been in detection, because I have an awful ice-cold logic which drives my wife absolutely crazy, because she has no logic in this at all. You haven't met Inga. She's a super girl, and she's very shy, and she's very introverted. She writes. She's a writer, writes novels, and she writes cookery books at the moment because it makes more money than novels. But she's not very logical. I don't think most women are logical. We can't all be the same. I mean, men can't give birth to children, and we are different. And I don't think that the average lady is as logical as the average man. I really don't.
Different type of logic, I think.
Well, maybe.
Talking to someone that went through physics here.
Oh yeah, oh God, I can't even have.
Now who's logic?
I can't. I need a calculator. I cannot have it. Anything over 10, I'm gone. Because my favorite. So I use a calculator. Thank God.